Hi there, my name is Arif Mirza. Some of you know me from Name Cult. Some of you know me from right here as a host of the Domain Socials. If you want to join us in the future, you can subscribe at thedomainsocial.com. So again, thedomainsocial.com. Just a little note is that this Halloween edition of the social had a lot of talk about costumes and odds and ends, and it's not completely on topic. I started this episode for those of you looking for the famous sketch reenactment. I started this episode originally with a reenactment of a combination between Saturday Night Live's classic more cowbell sketch with Will Ferrell and Christopher Walken and a bunch of others, and I kind of merged that with the rather infamous bidding war between Drew and Amar in a September episode of the Domain Social that we had, where bidding war went quite high on kettlebell, not cowbell, but kettlebell.com. That week, we also, at last minute, I got what I called a Technical Tuesday, but it's now available also on YouTube. You'll see it under the domain panel sort of brand. It's a red circle, you'll see. And we had, Richard Lau from logo.com. We had Darpin Munjal from Squad Help, and Meredith, who's a regular on our socials. She went through some domainer related hosting, HT access file hacks and tips and all kinds of great stuff. So those are actually there as well. But just to say is that having both those sessions that week completely ate up all my time, which meant that the sketch that I had planned, I didn't get to do all the editing I wanted, and there was a lot of swearing in it, which I meant to bleep out, but I finished the rendering of the video literally 2 minutes before showtime, so it just wasn't an option. So I showed it on the show, and I was going to consider using beeping technology to put it up here on YouTube, but in the end, it had nothing to do with that. It's just my acting skills were just so horrible that I'm not going to put that up on YouTube for fear of never getting a job or anything else the rest of my life. So that part is for those of you looking for it. I'm sorry it's not there. Maybe one day I'll clean it up or redo it or whatever it is. But again, it's one of those magical moments we have here sometimes in the social where it's just you have to be there, right? So subscribe, thedomainsocial.com. Join us next time. So on that, I will quit rambling and let you get to the show. All right, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, guys, that's it. Sorry for it being so long. Yeah, all right, so that's it for me. It took forever, man. And all the other stuff I was doing this week, just one take. I didn't want it to be that long, but I'm glad you all sat through it and hopefully you enjoyed it. And sorry for the swearing, but yeah, whatever. Once in a while, I'll bleep them out for YouTube. All right, so you guys, are you guys able to turn your mics on now?
Yeah, we are. Thanks, RF. That was really creative.
Yeah,
I think one of those bats got you right in between your eyebrows. You may want to check your makeup.
Yeah. It's funny. I had other stuff to do while I was doing that, but I ended up just watching the whole thing. Like, oh my God. That was
awesome, man.
That was just so horrible. All right. Some of you can't unmute, so let me see what I can do for that. Try unmuting now, guys.
There you go.
Hey, there we go. That was crazy.
Nice job there.
I'm glad you all enjoyed that.
Thanks for the 2-hour plug.
I wasn't sure after we talked today. I was like, do I, don't I? Like, yeah, whatever. It's like, yeah. It was
awesome.
I'm glad you all enjoyed that, more or less. It was Joel, I'm gonna take that offer on I'll take the offer on the acting lessons.
Editing too.
Yeah. Well, but editing, no, I did all last night, so it was no editing I could do eventually. It's just you need time, right? So it was all because I was getting other stuff ready for this week, the prizes and all that stuff. And I had the idea.
You are one busy bee, Arif. Well done.
No shows the rest of the week, and so yeah, okay. So who did I have to volunteer for the co-host secretary?
I think that was Pinky over there. Is that Frank?
I don't know. So, yeah, so I have some more stuff lined up, but nothing long, just for the auctions and stuff. And I haven't gotten everything completely organized, so you guys can start talking and do what you want. And I will ask you guys to share some stories. So,
Vito.
oh my god! Oh my god, Vito, that's awesome!
What's up, motherfuckers?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Yeah.
Let me get this. We needed some music. If Jason's not going to do it, I'll be the DJ.
All right, so next thing, I apologize. Oh my god, I apologize for my makeup, but I also apologize for not getting back to some of you in the last little bit. It's been pretty busy. So if any of you guys had anything you wanted to say or anything like that, let me start talking. Anybody have any story they want to share?
I just think that we're a little concerned for you.
A little.
I had stuff lined up. I go, I'm just gonna do a 5-minute thing, and it's not. And you start talking and rambling. I go like, hey, this is the thing. I start writing and writing and writing, and then writing more. I go, no, wait, this is longer than I thought. And I go, no, it's written really long, but when you say it, it's gonna be fast, right? But it ended up not being fast at all.
That was fun.
But yeah, no, but that was fun the last time too with kettlebell. That was awesome. Like I figured, when did I see it? Somebody posted something about more cowbell, and it just all clicked. I go, oh, that's just too perfect. And yeah, so anyhow.
You should have said based on a true story right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, everybody knows that. Most people were here for that. That was pretty fun. And,
You need to make sure Drew sees it.
oh yeah, he will. I'll send it to him. Yeah. And that's the whole thing is that, like, I mean, if there's somebody I knew wouldn't mind, it's him. Is Amar here? Where's Amar? I saw Amar popping before. I did him pretty badly too. Amar, are you there? No, he's not there.
No,
I'm
You
here.
scared him away.
I'm driving.
Did you see that? Did you catch my impression of you?
Yes, it was incredible. Spot on.
Yeah. Are you in Vegas? I didn't know you're in Vegas or LA, but I go, well, Vegas is a little bit more recognizable. I put the Bellagio behind.
Right.
It. People understand it.
No, and it's a good thing Drew and I have the same haircut. It made your skin a lot easier.
That's why it worked. Yeah. Just had to change the background. But anyhow, yeah. So yeah, you guys gotta pump up your bid there, eh? Christopher Walken is not gonna take less than $500,000 from what I heard.
All right, I'll pump it up to 65K. I think I stopped at 60 last time.
Thomas.
Yeah. I'm waiting here for Christopher Walken.
Are we doing that again?
Well, let me get Drew back here. Hold on. Where's here we go.
You mean that really wasn't Drew?
70,000.
Where's the doobie?
So, all right. So we're gonna have auctions off and on today, but as I said, so did anybody line up any stories at all to share? Any scary domain stories? Because I've got a couple. Anyone? All right. What do you guys want to talk about then?
I have a story.
All right, go for it.
So yeah, I'd like to share the story of how I declined a $1 million offer on a hand-wedged co.
Wow.
I had this domain that sat there for a few months. Nothing seemed to be happening on it. And then one day a $20,000 offer came in on it. And I didn't think it was real because you could buy it now on a different market for like less than a 20th of that or around the 20th of that. But I did accept. Anyway, it was a fake email address and nothing happened. But then over the next few days, I kept getting, and next few weeks, more and more offers on this one domain. I got $1 offers, I got $100 offers, $1,000 offers, 20,000, and $1 million and a 10 million, I believe, was the absolute top. And I still don't quite know the reason. They were all fake. They were all from various places around the US. I had the IP. I believe they were done by teenagers. The name that I hadn't put much thought in, it was a discount. It was Bloxers, Bloxers, and I hadn't even researched it. If you Google it, you'll see that there's a crowdfunding campaign to produce an interesting clothing item that I'll let you discover on your own for that. And anyway, so it got to the end. I was getting so many that I was just automatically declining them all. But it was an interesting story. In the end, I shut off offers for a while, and then the domain expired. But what the heck, this morning I took it for another year. And my idea in getting it had been that it might be for blockchain or paving blocks or kids blocks or something like that. But I think it's some kind of an online game world. The people that were teenagers, I think, that kept putting in these endless offers on.
Sorry,
Sounds like very annoying.
but it was real.
Great story.
Probably Roblox, I guess, as a game that it came from.
Yeah, $1 million. I don't know.
I don't know, Robert. I heard that you turned it down.
Not the real offer, the fake offers.
You said they wouldn't pay the escrow.com full fee, and you said, that's it, I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah, I mean, I did accept the first one, or maybe even a couple, and then it became clear. I'm a gamer at all. Actually, I've never in my life played any an Apple II with my kids decades ago, and I believe it was some kind of, probably there's people on the call that know, because some of them included comments along with why they wanted, although they didn't really even seem to understand, despite the description, that they were actually bidding on a domain name. But it was interesting. It certainly overwhelmed things for a few days till I turned it off, or a few weeks.
So was that the source of the train wreck when you told your wife that you turned down the $1 million offer?
There've been so many train wrecks over the years. I don't know which one in particular. I was just trying to come up with an idea for a costume.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any stories want to sell? Sure. Sorry, I'm all talked out right now.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys. So I was going to bring this up last week, I think, but maybe it was this week. Quibi. You guys hear about Quibi?
Oh yeah, they're gone now, eh?
You know, how to make $500 million in online video. Start with $1.6 billion and then and lose it all and then give back $500 million. But because the whole world revolves around us and domainers and the domain social, not that I would say the only reason they failed, but is it just me, or with $1.6 billion of capital, you really had to go with Quibi? And I understand that in the days post the Great Recession, you know, and all the .coms were taken, a lot of companies got the crazy spellings and all that because that's all they could get. But really, Quibi, when you have $1.6 billion, I did really feel like it's not the only reason they went under, but I think they could have done better. What do you guys think?
What's the story behind that name? Does it mean something to the
I think it means was short for quick bits.
Oh.
But like you say that now, and Paige, like, you're right, because like, how do you spell Quibi?
Well, but why would you have to settle? Why would you sit there and go, well, we got $1.6 billion, but man, we've only budgeted $1,500 for our domain name. How can we fit the best thing we can find, Quibi, into that budget of $1,500? I know. Let's make up a reason why it's, you know, and it just, you know,
somebody got $1,500 for that.
Well, I don't know. I made up a number. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sometimes I take poetic license with the facts, but
Somebody got reg fee for that. Let me put it differently.
but really, I mean, it's just I think they took the whole Hulu, Roku.
Yeah.
That's when you couldn't get funding. It was hard to raise money. You built your business on Roku and Hulu with no money. But man, if you come in with big players like Meg Whitman and the ex-CEO of Disney, whatever, it just seems like they should aspire greater, right? I mean, am I myopic, or you think if I put that in
It
in a
has
blog
all
post,
it has all the allure of like flyers on windshields as far as approaches to advertise, right? Maybe they didn't have anything left over after all the salaries. But the content is good there. I mean, I've seen some really good content. I'm really regret that it's not going to continue.
Yeah, I mean, short form video I heard was hot. so somehow they but it gets down to the whole. I think once you're over $1 billion, you shouldn't have a 2-sentence domain name, meaning what's the name of your company, Quibi, and then someone goes, huh. And then you have to have that second sentence, you know what I mean, to explain what it is. And
goes against my model.
They should have bought kettlebell.com.
There you go. Even kettlebell might have been it. But all right.
More kettlebell. More for kettlebell. Yeah.
That's my story.
All right. Here, I got. Speak on that note, actually. Here.
All right.
Let me do one more. Let me do one more for you guys. 2 minutes.
I have a scary story if you guys want to hear it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bring it.
Here, the next 3 hours are all David's stories. Go for it, man.
Give a thumbs up if any one of you have a domain name that starts with the letter E and then a generic term like e-cars.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got e-architecture, but it's a .org, so it doesn't count.
So somebody in Canada registered ecars.ca back in 20 years ago. And then a couple of years later, he ended up getting a CDRP, which is like a UDRP, but the Canadian version. And guess who was the complainant?
You.
No, not me. I wasn't involved. I wasn't part of the story. I just read about it last week.
Tesla, with the electric cars.
No, not at all.
eBay.
It was a different kind of car company.
Hot Wheels?
Tesla.
No.
It was 2003 when the CDRP was, so it was a long time ago.
Cars.com.
It was, so you guys give up? It was Enterprise.
Elon Musk.
Oh, Enterprise.
Enterprise. So apparently they registered a trademark back in 1990 for e-cars.
Wow.
And I used to be a heavy user of Enterprise, and I never saw them use that trademark whenever I went to any type of car rental location. So I don't know what kind of use they had, but they claimed that they had usage and that it was their trademark and that they were entitled to the domain name. And guess what happened? They won.
They lost. What?
Enterprise won.
Whoa.
So if they had hired Zach Muskovitz, he would have done exactly what he did for Cheap Tickets. So the guy who had cheaptickets.ca also lost, same scenario. So Zach went and filed a case in federal court to cancel that trademark registration because it's generic. And he was successful. It was appealed, and he was still successful. It cost the owner, I don't know, $100,000 in litigation fees for Cheap Tickets, just to cancel that trademark.
Wow.
Yes, that's the guy.
Peter Maximich. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Is the Canadian CDRP similar to the UDRP, where it has criteria, but it's really the arbitrator's all-encompassing view of the facts in a way that they can kind of create their own narrative?
Yes, Paige. And then it's polite and metric. I'm making a joke.
And you only have to pay 80% damages.
And it's apologetic. Yes, yeah.
Totally beat me to that.
Don't use a domain name. If you have a dead page,
yeah,
they can assume that it was registered in bad faith and you do not have any legitimate interest in it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is that you just don't have a leg to stand on if anyone ups the game, ups the ante.
Yeah. So there was another 4-letter acronym .ca that got taken away last year. I looked up who was the owner. It was some Chinese guy from Quebec, and he didn't respond to the complaint. I tried to email him. I got a bounce back. But anyways, he lost, and it was because even though there was no trademark at the time he registered it, some credit unions started using that name back in 2002, a year before he registered the domain name. And then lo and behold, they were able to swipe the domain name from, actually it was this year, I think February or March.
So without being too mean to Canada and Canadian domainers, would it be worth $4,000 or $5,000 to defend ecars.ca for most of you?
Yes,
You
ecars.
think so? I don't know.
I get offers for some domain names in excess of 4,000. So yes. And these days, ecars would be really valuable for electric cars.
How popular is .ca in Canada?
Very. It's the primary domain name for most businesses.
I think Canada pushes it too, big time.
They do.
The government
Well,
does.
they don't push it that much, but they don't need to. I mean, like, because there's a lot of one words that are kind of more affordable than .com, so they go for them. But also for local stuff, it just caught on. I don't know. It's just
It's not like .us.
It's not like it's a lot stronger than .us, relatively speaking. But we still do, like, I mean, if you're starting a business and the .com is available, you're gonna go with the .com. You know.
I'm not sure. I think it depends on I would say it depends on the kind of business.
Yeah.
Certainly surveys have shown, CIRA do big survey every year, and they have shown that Canadians in many categories of business place more trust in a CA than even a COM, and way more trust than in almost anything else.
Really?
And yeah, and I think these CIRA ads that they're running are stupid, frankly, but I mean, the trust and the way the extension is run is, I think, quite strong.
Yeah, no. I think it's one of those things that happen progressively over time. Like originally, everyone wants .com, right? But all the good ones are taken. So in Canada, going with a CA is a stronger alternative than Americans going for .us in the States. So over time, like all these mom and pop businesses, they got their names that they wanted in .ca that you couldn't get in .com, but because, as I said, over time, there's thousands and thousands of thousands being used, it kind of became more acceptable, I think. Because yeah, it is.
No, I still see a lot of local businesses around here using not using .cas but using .com. Here,
Yeah.
especially in Quebec, not using the .ca, even though they should. They're only local businesses, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the natural is to go for .com, but if the .ca is there, it's no problem. I don't think. It's like, I mean, if you have a local business, .ca is fine.
But what about if your domain was something with the word Canada in it? Then it would probably be better to go with .ca, right?
If you have Canada domain, well, yeah, well, no,
it's like double.
Yeah.
I would think .com would be better because otherwise it'd be redundant.
But I mean, to me, using a .ca would be good if you had a business that was intended for the local Canadian market, right? Like you're trying to show people that you're, like made in Canada. Yeah,
but you can never expand after that if you do that. But the other thing too, though, is that like .com is still a .com, right? Even in Canada, it's still a .com. But like you're better off getting a shorter .ca than a longer .com compared to other countries. Like in the US, you would still go for like a 2-word or a 3-word .com before a .us, even if it's quite a bit shorter. Whereas in Canada, like because the .ca brand is strong enough, you don't need to worry about that. You can go with .ca, but if the .com is available, I would suggest everybody go for that. Yeah. So
there's a cow behind Drew.
Where is Drew? Drew, you know I love you, right?
He's in a cow patch.
Where is
he? He's. Oh.
Hi guys.
Hey. You missed the show.
You missed the show, man.
What'd I miss?
You.
Nothing. Nothing. You didn't miss anything.
You'll have to
Somebody
send us the
imitating
video.
you.
You missed a lot of.
Wait, hold on. I'll bring you back. Here you are again. There you go.
There you are.
You show them the background.
It was
Show your background.
It was Kettlebell Part 2. All right. Hold
Here,
on.
what's with the cow?
All right. So I got. Here
I met that cow last weekend.
I don't even want to know.
I milked that cow last weekend.
All it's worth.
No, I met.
Oh, I thought you said you milked that cow last weekend.
No, I met the cow.
That's this week.
I'd milk it though.
I'm not sure that's any better though.
All right. Yeah.
We're gonna have to get this show thrown off YouTube too.
Yeah, I got some. That's the whole thing. I want to spend more time. I was going to use the little beep thing, but then I go, well, whatever. It doesn't, I'll beep it afterwards. I have no idea.
Wait, did I swear? I was trying not to swear.
Oh yeah, you swore all like crazy before you got here.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Other people were swearing.
I'll send it to you later on, whatever, or next time. It'll go up pretty soon. But yeah. All right. So here we go. Hold on. Here, you guys want a story? Here's a story. Share. There it is. All right, this is Christopher Walken again. RF asked me to share a story, the main story with y'all. So here's my story. Obviously, I now own kettlebell.com, the greatest domain in the history of the internet. But there was a time before Kettlebell where I was looking for something like Kettlebell. And maybe even something more than Kettlebell. And the domain in question was morekettlebell.com. So you'd think, really popular term, of course, but you'd think everybody would save it for Christopher Walken. Who would register that? So I go to a hand reg domain, thinking, of course it's available, but sure enough, guess what happens? It's registered. So I type more kettlebell into the browser bar. Imagine what comes up. Imagine who owns morekettlebell.com. Guys, those freaking guys. Huge domains. I don't get it. They own everything. More kettlebell. Why did they buy more kettlebell? Why did they take that from Christopher Walken? I don't get it. Anyhow, that's my story. You guys, you have a great day, a great end of your year. Make lots of domain sales. And as usual, pay more for kettlebell.com. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah.
What did you do?
Actually, I tried to register that domain.
It's already taken.
I tried to register it exactly to do a fun auction today, and sure enough, Huge Domains owns it. I'm like,
I used to own that domain.
Did you really?
Yeah, I let it go a while back.
That's too.
Or maybe it was an accident. I don't know.
More kettlebell is more better.
Yeah. Maybe hand reg even more kettlebell.
Isn't there an expression like more
kettlebell.
bell, more cowbell, more cowbell?
That's it. Yeah. There was a skit in Saturday Night Live where I reenacted it before. That was what it was all about. But yeah, it was more cowbell.com. That was it was Christopher Walken that was in it with who was the guy on the
Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
On the cowbell. And they kept on doing rehearsals, and it was like
I got a fever.
Yeah, I got a fever. And the only cure is more cowbell.
Boom, 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 boom.
So who else got a story to share? I'm running out of videos. And I think you guys are bored of them now too.
I've got a good spooky one.
All right, go for it, Tommy.
Right. Okay.
2008, I registered the domain name Iona Abbey. Okay, and Iona Abbey is one of the first Christian settlements in Western Europe. Opened in 563 AD, and I had the domain name for about a year. And one day I received this letter coming from a lady in the United States who had been to visit Iona Abbey, her and her husband. And when they were at Iona Abbey, they picked up a stone, i.e. a pebble, and decided to take the pebble back home with them to the United States. And this is a true story. This is absolutely true. So like 3 months after the trip, I received an email from this lady asking me if I would take the stone and put it back to Iona Abbey and place it back where it belongs. And when I read the email, there was no way in a million years I was getting near the stone that she picked up for Iona Abbey, because as soon as she picked up the stone, bad luck happened to her. Real bad luck. So on the way to flying back to New York from Glasgow, the plane hit a storm and got struck by lightning twice.
Wow.
Right. So, and the lady put in the letter that the flight was the worst flight that she had ever flown on with her and her husband. When they then got to New York, they hired a car and were in a car crash. Right, and the car was basically written off, but they were okay. Then when they got back to their house, a couple of months later, she broke her leg, which was, you know, sort of thing. Then a couple of months after that, the husband became no well. He came down with cancer and died. Right. And this woman then lost her job, lost her house and everything else. And this was on the letter. So on the letter that she sent us, I said, I'm not touching it, but I phoned Iona Abbey and spoke to one of the monks in Iona Abbey. And he turned around and says, it happens all the time. People take the stones and they always want to return them for some reason. And he would be glad to take the stone back. So one of my mates, who's a journalist for a major newspaper in Scotland, phoned me up and says, Tommy, if you get any interesting stories, and I went, I've got a cracker here for you. I says, pure belter. It's I says, I'll speak to the woman first, and the woman can speak to you directly and tell you the story. And the woman agreed to do the story in the Sunday newspaper. And what she put in writing to me was actually a lot more worse of bad luck that followed her no matter what she done, sort of thing. And the good side of the story is that once she took the stone and placed the stone back and the stone got returned to Iona Abbey, she had no more bad luck. It was as if a whole weight had been taken off her and it was full of negative energy. And the good bit of the story was, a couple of weeks after that, I received a cheque from the newspaper for a couple of £100, which was ideal. So a bit of good luck for me for not touching the stone. So, but the woman had so much misery and everything else with regards to it, and being superstitious. There's no way in a million years. But the fact is, when you go to these tourist attractions that have got lots of history, do not pick up a sample of a stone or anything else that's a relic of the place, because you never know what's behind it. Happy Halloween.
Ooh. Scary stuff.
And that's true. That's a true story.
Wow.
And that was ionaabbey.com. And the domain is available for registration by the looks of it. And as soon as that name was up for renewal, I did not renew it. I kept away from it.
Curse domain names. Hey, wow. All right, Deborah, you got your hand up. Do you have a story?
I do, and it's very scary.
going to be especially scary for you, Arif.
Uh-oh.
So I see you changed my name.
That was me, Deb. Sorry.
Oh, Jonathan. So it says defy grit.
Defy gravity. It was a like Wicked the Play thing.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify. So I am a witch who defies gravity. And my favorite things are dancing under the full moon, flying through the sky, and making witches' brews. I might add some wormwood, which is the first ingredient in absinthe. I might add some CBD oils, and I love those mushrooms. My favorite friends are the wolf. Bats, I'm supposed to like, but they kind of get on my nerves. They're kind of like flies. So, but brewing is my favorite thing to do. And this is what's going to be really scary for Arif, because I stir and stir and stir for a really, really long time. So now it's time for me to reveal my gift that I brought for Arif this week. WeenieDogBrewing.com. It's all yours, Arif.
Right. Steamy loves it.
Just send me your GoDaddy
I will.
email.
Here's Steamy. He's right here. Hot dog.
Yes, I used to have a weenie dog. His name was Shakespeare. He lived for 18 years.
Wow. Yeah, they can live a long time.
Yeah.
There he is. Oh, there he is. Nice.
So that's my scary story.
All right. Hey, Deborah, now you're there. Do you want to do your auction now?
Oh, okay. Well, it does have to do with brews.
Yeah, that's why I said, hold on, give me a second.
And
yeah,
fat brews.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about you're going to get fat if you drink this brew. But we all know about those beer bellies. No. Today, the modern meaning for fat, it's slang for surplus budget spending, doing well in life. So if you buy fatbrews.com, you a baller.
Wait, hold on. Who's got their... Thank you, whoever that was. All right, go ahead, Deb.
Okay. So I'll start from
yeah, go for it.
The slang. Okay. So these days, the slang, the meaning is a surplus budget spending, doing well in life. So if you buy fatbrews.com, or if you drink, is what I meant to say, if you drink fatbrews.com, you a baller. Okay, I do have the link that I can put in the chat for the evaluation, and it actually values pretty high, around 3,000 and some. And so this is for Michael Seiger's evaluation tool. That's what it's from. So if you click on that link, you'll see the qualities of the domain and the different comps in the valuation tool. And then I don't have to worry about all those numbers, because really all I like is dancing under the full moon or anytime, brewing and stirring and throwing in all kinds of wonderful, wonderful things that just make you fly on your own.
All right, so fatbrews.com. We got opening bid $5 so far. There's no reserve in that one. So Thomas in for $5. Fat Brews. That sounds like it's like somewhere comfortable, and some good company's gonna have that. Fat Brews. Like, what was it? Drew, what was it was Fat Matt. Is that it, your uncle? Fat Matt. I will never forget the ice cream story. Anyways, so fatbrews.com. The current bid is $5. Next bid would be $7. Well, not Fat Drew's, Fat Matt. Don't you guys remember the story of his uncle? His uncle, I think it was. Anyways, Fat Matt.
So fatbeer.com sold for last year for $3,000. That's Fat Beer.
Fat Beer, oh yeah.
And then Gypsy Brews sold for $3,600 in 2018.
What did you say?
So a $10 bid, next bid is $12.
For that?
And fatdaddy.com.
What did you say the definition of that?
Oh yeah, fatdaddy.com sold for $4,000. That was a long time ago. It'd probably be worth more now.
So we have $12 bid. Next bid would be $14. Fatbrews.com.
Fatlab.com sold for $7,500.
Yeah, I need to go to one of those. Get rid of my. Actually, I didn't gain weight for COVID, but I gained weight before COVID. So a lot of people are going to go to the gym once they start reopening. So fatbrews.com. Current bid is 12 by Thomas. We're looking for our next bid is we got 15 now. Got 20. So next bid would be 22.
So yeah, and then Estabat values it at, where'd that go? $2,745.
Wow. So we have.
No, I'm sorry, that's not Estabat, that's Brandpa. Estabat doesn't have a valuation. It devalues two-word.coms. But yeah, Brandpa is $2,745. And that's from a serious marketplace.
Yeah.
Value.
So sorry, I was gonna Thomas is 25, then Howard went 30. Starting at 25 is $5 increments. So next bid would be 35 if anybody wants to bid 35. Thanks, Thomas, for that. Dominic, 35. So next bid is 40.
And that another slang is it rhymes with PHAT, fat. Pretty, hot, and tempting. And you know brews are tempting. Especially fat brews.
All right, so fatbrews.com at 35. Do I hear 40?
Got to tell you, some of these screens are weirding me out. Giggles muerte. I just can't even look at it without laughing.
So, okay, we got a $45 bid. Next bid would be 50. Fatbrews.com. 50. Keep on wanting to start closing it out, but keep on getting more bids. So next bid, 55. Thomas is at 50.
So one thing that Michael Seiger puts on the valuation tool is the brand bucket count. And it says the greater the count of brands that are similar to your domain name, the more desirable your brand may be. And brand bucket count is 194.
All right, so current bid is 50. Next bid, 55.
Of all the comps, when you average them together, including the GoDaddy's less than evaluation, you still come out with 3,824.
All right, so we have a $75 bid right now. Next bid would be 80.
So the wholesale value of this domain is it's in a range between 300 and 2,000. The retail value is in the range of 2,000 to 5,000. And I'm giving it to you guys just as a present because I'm really a good witch.
All right, so 75, next bid would be 80. We're gonna start closing this out. We're gonna say right now 75 looking for 80, and it's going once. It's going twice at 75, looking for 80. And at 75, we're going to say it's sold. Where we have here.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody,
Click on
for
his
bidding.
exchange your contact info. And next up, I'll do one more right now. We're going to have a special, very special auction. Get my share screen going over here. Here we go. Share. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. All right, hey again, everybody. Rick Schwartz here, the domain king. And RF asked me to put up a domain for auction, so I figured I love those guys at Domain Social. I'm gonna have to give them something good. So here is my choice. See if I could share it with you all here. There we go. So the domain, obviously, it's got to be royalty because, you know, I'm the domain king. So it's nameprints.com. It's a 12-year-old domain, more or less. It's owned by yours truly, Rick Schwartz. Expires next year in September. It's that epic. And the reserve right now is $88. You can get name prints for $88. Now let's see if I could look up some comps for you guys. Stop sharing that. There we go. So yeah, here we go. Prints.com sold a while back for $235,000. That's a long time ago because that name is worth millions today. .com royalty. I mean, you can't sell for anything less than millions, right? So what else is there? Printscorp.com 5,000. Of course, it's .com. I'm not going to say it's not .com because .com is king, right? And I'm the king. So there you go. What else we're going to search for here? Domains with the word name in it. All right. So we have, $1 million for domainname.com. So, I mean, what do you want a domain name for when you get like a name with royalty? Name prints. It's even better than that. Domainnames.com, $370,000. What else? We have? Name check. Come on. What's better, a check or a Prince? Right? With Prince can write as many checks as he wants. So, but name check is $50,000. Wow, it's a good comp. And what else do we have? Namespace, $15,000. But who cares about the comps? It's all about imagery, right? When you're selling your domains, you want to be royalty. You want to have the ultimate authority. And who has authority? Right? It's the king. The king right here. But you can't be the king. I'm the king. So you can be the prince. So runner-up. Still pretty good. It's a .com because .coms are king, even if there's a prince in it. So get that name. Nameprints.com. It's yours right now. Reserve is $88. We're looking for an opening bid. And again, I want to wish all of you at the Domain Social great Halloween, great 2021. Best of luck with all your sales. And again, thanks, Ira, for taking care of all this. I'm really happy to put a name in auction for you. Let me know next time you want some more. I'll get some more. And we'll see you all next time. All right. So thanks again. And have a good one. All right. Nameprints.com. Reserve $88. It's 12 years old. I think it is. It'll be in, 12 years old.
Has anybody told you you resemble Rick?
Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Who? Me?
Count Minula.
That was Rick. What are you talking about? That was Rick.
You realize you're setting the bar for your next episode, right?
No, I'm retiring after this, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't poke that bear. He's got a good sense of humor, but he may not.
That's the last one of him.
Hey, he was invited. He didn't want to come.
Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, so it is a real auction though, for nameprints.com. So reserve is 88. If you guys want to bid 88, it's nameprints.com. It's 12 years old, and the comps were real. I was sorry, Rick was reading name bio for that. Not that they were entirely relevant, but Thomas, is that a bid?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll take it for 88.
You said 88. I was thinking Back to the Future. Never mind.
All right. Well, yeah, sure. But Drew, type it into the chat.
I'm not bidding. My dog is bidding. Look,
You said 8,800, right, Drew?
Look, she's bidding, not me.
I'm not think as you stoned I am.
Drew, can she type?
No, she can't type, man. You gotta take that verbal bid. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take the verbal bid. So bid $88. So next bid will be 93 if anybody wants it. 93.
Oh, that's a cute dog.
Yeah, he just got it last week.
What's his name?
Miel. Miel.
Ah, French.
It means honey in Spanish
Honey.
and in French.
Nice.
Miel.
It is a lovely one.
Aw. Is it corgi? Is it a corgi?
No, it's a
Jack Russell?
Podengo. Podengo. It's a Portuguese rabbit hunting dog.
Oh.
Okay. It's semi-transparent because of the background.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, there we go.
How old is she?
7 months.
Oh, little baby, cool.
But she won't get much bigger.
Drew, do you hunt rabbits in Portugal?
No, I don't hunt. I used to hunt fish. And then I turned into a pussy.
Spearfishing.com, right? Whatever happened to that?
I've got spearfishing.com, spearguns.com, Spiro.com. I don't even, lots more.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Okay.
You know what? I think I've had 2 offers in my lifetime on any of the names combined. It's crazy.
Wow.
But apparently the spearfishing industry boomed during COVID because people were like, I'm going to go out and get my own food.
Yeah. And they're in a mask by default. So it's kind of
Is that when you got the bid? I mean, the offer? Inquiry?
Hey, did I win that name for $88 now?
Hey, we're gonna hey, $88. So $88 going once. Next bid we 93. Good point. Close that out. For name
My
print
bid, I mean, Jesus, how long does my bid stand?
going twice at 88. Next bid 93. And we're gonna say nameprints.com. It's sold to Drew for $88. All right, good job, Drew.
Sold to Miel.
Yeah.
I think that was a great buy. $88 for nameprints.com.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good purchase.
That would have been like $250 to $350 on NameJet.
Hold on to it for a few years and it's going to be what? Name king now, right?
Yeah.
It'll probably just rot in my portfolio like every other domain name related domain I own.
I've got a bunch of those too.
Hey, when are you going to auction off domain print? Is it coming up?
I don't even have domain print.
I think so. I wouldn't buy that one. That'll ruffle feathers.
Oh, yeah. It might.
But what was this? Whatever happened with prints.com? Didn't Media Options originally sell that at one point?
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Let's just say it wasn't a feather in my cap. It was
tell us the whole story.
Names, Monty when he was at Snap Names auctioned it off, and it didn't hit the reserve. And then a couple of weeks later, associates of Kim.com hired me to acquire the name, which I did. But apparently the person who was in control of the name was a thief, but he seemingly stole the name years earlier. And yeah, I mean, it was really basically an impossible one to see that name was stolen.
Wow.
But certainly not a feather in my cap.
There's a horror story for Halloween. So who owns it now?
But the domain actually never went back to the original owner. In fact, I don't know that it was ever entirely clear that the domain was actually stolen, but it was a crazy situation.
Hey, has anything really changed in maybe 20 years on how we know who owns a domain name? Is it property? Is it, I mean, it's not like, have we gotten any better at all at that?
Well, I'll tell you what,
firming it up a title or anything, really?
Well, I'll tell you what, my feelings on this subject, my uninformed legal opinions, feelings on this subject have changed over time. And I think it's just my personality that I like optionality. And so on some level, I like that there is a jurisdictional arbitrage opportunity, depending on whether you want your domains treated as property or a contract or, you know, whatever other form of right it might be in a certain jurisdiction. I think that optionality is maybe a good thing, but it certainly isn't clear. I've been dealing with that right now as we speak in Portugal. It's interesting. I might even get the opportunity to actually work with like the group that is, you know, forming some of the new laws they're trying to create around digital assets. And, you know, we went to them to get an opinion. And so we, you know, wrote them a memo asking for a response. And they basically said, we don't have even a framework to think about this. And so, you know, it was interesting. They wanted to immediately just say that domain names are intellectual property. And then I pointed to the booking.com case and said, well, actually, a domain isn't intellectual property until it gets used as intellectual property, until it's recognizable as a brand. And so an unused domain isn't intellectual property, it's just an asset. And they agreed. So that is more than likely going to be the way that it will be treated in Portugal now going forward. I think we're going to set a precedent to say that domains are just an asset, an intangible asset, which has a ton of consequences, all for the better from what I can tell, at least here. But in the US, it's state by state, I
But
think.
really at the core, like if you're at GoDaddy and you have the registrant name, you know, the company name, you change that. You change it and you click, I have the power to change it. I mean, there's so little in the way of, like if you ever had to do a domain title search, you would literally, it would be like having a blockchain that's every piece of email that's ever been sent in the world to know if a name was ever potentially owned by someone else at any time. And you just
imagine the liquidity and the transaction velocity that would enable, like the efficiency of the market if all of that was transparent. But the reality of the situation is that there are a lot of powers that be, and a lot of bodies buried around the internet that nobody wants that transparency.
Yeah. What do you think, Adam? You think we could do better? Or you just, as it is,
of course
good enough?
We could do better. We could do better. I mean, you can't do much worse than what we got right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Not all
Feedback.
Ow, dude, that hurt my head.
That brings up something else. How do most people treat their income taxes? At least in the U.S., is it capital gains, or if you're actively working at it, is it just regular income?
That's personal.
Anything I pay more than 5,000, I put on its own Schedule C, and get capital gains, and everything else is lumped together.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting take.
I've never tried the 1031 exchange. You know, to take a name that you paid
It's not allowed anymore. That's not allowed.
Yeah, I saw that in that recent post.
Yeah.
And
no, when they it only works with real estate now.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, there used to be a philosophy that if I owned a name and I bought it for 5,000, and Drew wanted to buy it for me for 40,000, and then I was going to go buy another name, that Drew would actually go buy the new name that I was going to buy, and inside of an escrow, he would trade me that name, the name that I wanted to buy. He would go buy that. He would trade me that name for my name, and then I wouldn't have actually ever sold and realized the gain. I would have just traded, you know, one name for another, and I could keep my basis and not realize a gain. You know, it would be like if I own, you know, stocks.com and I bought it for 5,000 and Andrew wanted to buy it for 50, and then I was going to go buy green.com. Well, he would just go buy green.com for 50,000, and then he would trade me green.com for stocks.com, and then I would get, you know, and so you could do that and avoid the taxes, but I guess they stopped.
Did anybody do that with domains before they? Because they made that clear like just a few years ago. Before that, could they have been considered like kind? Did anybody do it?
Is that? Never mind. I'm not even going to touch that subject. But
well, yeah. I didn't know if they got rid of the ability to do an immediate swap like that. The 1031 said that I could sell my name, put the money with a third party, and keep it out of my control while I decided to buy something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think what it really said was, you know, like kind assets.
Right.
If you were reinvesting the proceeds within a certain period of time into like kind assets, then you basically just stepped up your basis, but I don't know.
But you deferred the gain until you sell that next one, and you can defer it over and over. At least with real estate, you can.
The intermediaries made it nice because you didn't have to have all your ducks in a row when you sold the first name. You know what I mean? You could have the money sit and then part. But I just wonder. I'll have to go look and see if.
Well, in real estate, I mean, it's just crazy. I'm the least expert person, but I never really understood how people made so much money in commercial real estate, and it was basically like, you know, you buy something, you immediately start depreciating it, and then you depreciate it down to zero, and then you sell it, but roll that in a 1031 into something bigger, leverage that, you know, at 10x, and do the same thing again, and then you can just grow your capital base exponentially. It's really incredible. If we could do that with domain names, it would be amazing.
Well, you can, but they're just over a long time period.
What does that mean?
You can, like, if I paid 30,000 for a domain name, I could call it intangible property, and I could amortize the cost of it over. I'm looking it up here.
You would have to be utilizing it in order to amortize it, no?
Well, define utilize. I'm thinking about building it, you know. But I was trying to look at the time period. But
I mean, the domains certainly do have an amortizable parking life.
But then when you sell it, you have to recapture. But you know, there's so much of the new tax.
Well, but that's the whole thing, though. That's what I'm saying is you can't do it in domains because that's the point. In real estate, when you sell it, you just roll it over.
Yeah.
But what would be
and then you
sweet?
roll it over and you 10x leverage it, and then you literally just 10x your cost basis, and then you just keep amortizing that down. When it gets to zero, you sell it. Value's appreciated, and it's 100% profit.
I keep looking in our U.S. tax bills. You know, they made it so you can spend like $100,000 on equipment right now and deduct it right off the bat, 100%. You know, full deductibility, no depreciation. And I keep hoping that they'll slide intangible assets in there. You know, if you could deduct the cost of buying a domain name, 100%, would that help our sales? You know.
Well, I'll tell you what. There, I don't know if that's in the cards, but there is a lot more talk among regulators, for better or worse, about intangible assets. Intangible assets are a very, very, very big thing right now. Like, you've got trillions of dollars in intangible assets on balance sheets that are unrecognized. And so that's significantly influencing the valuations of corporations, mostly for the, negative. And, but nobody knows how to value this stuff, including domain names. And so it's interesting.
Well, there's all sorts of arguments of how you approach it. If you use the commercial property example, tax codes will say, if you're in the business of buying and selling properties, then it is expensed as opposed to capital gain assets. If you're buying, 100 apartments a year, flipping them or developing apartment buildings and things like that, you're not necessarily getting capital gains. If I develop a condo building and then sell all the units in it, I'm expensing my costs of construction and so forth. And so it all depends how you got your business structured, I guess.
I know Mike Seiger had a great tax resource years back, and I'm not an attorney or tax attorney. I don't play one on the radio, but I know if you do the inventory method toward the end of the year, I always thought that might bring in some wholesale buying of people trying to ramp up their inventory amount, because that would reduce what you had to pay taxes on. In other words, if you're a dealer and you started the year with 400,000 of domain names and you sold 100,000, and at the end of the year, you had 400,000 left, then your profit would be 100,000. And at the same point, if your inventory was higher, then you could take some of that and call it cost of goods sold. And I think there used to be I used to see a little of that back in the day. Someone might buy one big name at the end of the year just to push their inventory up,
Well, I see it, with end user sales, people just want to burn budgets so that they can renew the budget at the end of the year. I think a lot of times, a lot of corporations just don't even know how to treat a domain. And so some of them do expense it. Some of them, I think it depends on how important it is for the business.
And they don't know how to value them either for purposes of as a collateral or
well, they're not
lending on that asset. It's really
GAAP accounting. It just goes basically zero value on the balance sheet.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't even buy them in the first place, right? Like a lot of them just got them through acquisitions and don't even have a clue.
Well, you can still keep them at cost.
Mm-hmm.
There may even be a difference between the acquisition cost and the renewal cost. Renewal cost being an expense, acquisition cost being maybe something different.
Well, what's crazy is the publicly traded companies, imagine the domain names they're carrying that they didn't even have to pay for. They just came back through expired domains of customers, and then they just magically pop up on the balance sheet. And if you need money at the end of the quarter, just go sell $1 million worth of domains, and hey, we just did $1 million in profit, That's
so,
a nice.
so Paige, on that note, okay,
Yeah.
on that note, we have some interesting news soon that's going to, I think, help that very subject. But what is that opportunity worth, you think? What is that opportunity worth to suddenly recognize the value of all those?
We didn't get that, Drew. We didn't
You
get
can
that.
suddenly capitalize those domains.
Drew, we didn't catch the last sentence. Let's repeat the last sentence, or just moving stuff. We didn't hear it.
If we could suddenly capitalize those domain names on corporate oh, wait, hold on. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. You're
Is
good.
it working?
Yeah, you're good now.
Did you hear me, Paige, or no?
Yeah. In other words, they could mark them to market when they acquired them.
Yes,
Put them on as
exactly.
an asset at the time they got them, whether they sold them or not.
No, see, even if it's sitting there now and suddenly they can market to market.
Yeah.
What is that opportunity worth?
Yeah. Well, when things are going up, it's worth a lot. And
well,
then like,
you know, it doesn't matter up or down. It doesn't really matter. You know, you're talking about 10 million, maybe $1 trillion in value in these domains that are sitting on corporate balance sheets with no value on the balance sheet. And suddenly, if you can market to market, then you can collateralize it. You can suddenly you have a larger market cap that you can borrow against. You can sell equity against. You can do all kinds of stuff. You unlock a bunch of capital that wasn't previously available.
it sounds like you're talking about like a company, if they wanted to, could do a sale and lease back and take a big asset that they have on their books that's unrecognized, and then they could sell it and then rebuy it back. But at the time they sell it, put it on. What's that?
And expense the lease back and hold it.
Right. But they get credit for upping the value. Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
But at what value? I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this too. And so what value would the investor, the lender, if you will, the landlord who's going to do the sale lease back, what value would they put on it?
What they normally would do is there'd have to be a little sliver.
It's not going to be retail.
The new owner would have to have a little sliver of equity that was third party. You know what I mean? Like I sold it to a company that is owned 1% by somebody and 99% by me, and that would be enough. What's that?
100% third, you know, arm's length third party that has to buy in at a fixed valuation.
Maybe not. Maybe just 1%.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the percent. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, as long as there's a little risk. Yeah, and then they would set the price. They would be considered a fair market, and then they could mark it up on their balance sheet.
Be pretty interesting, right?
Well, it's really interesting, and if you do get legitimate value of domain names on balance sheets, I'm not saying it's the best corporate practice in the world, but for years taking intellectual property and other intangible property and taking it to places like Ireland and doing leasebacks, in favorable ways is why a lot of corporate money is not in America.
But
and
just think of the
$1 trillion
discussions you
of
could
value on balance sheets. That might be another piece.
Just think of the intro to be able to say, are you aware of the hidden assets in your company? Would you want to have a discussion for 20 minutes next Thursday about how you can realize that value on your balance sheet? That'd be pretty powerful.
Different way to sell domains.
I agree. And a lot of it goes back to what you were saying earlier about title. Like, you know, all the people that are going to come in that space that's not familiar with domains but wants to invest.
Yeah.
They like things
I think we're going to sell that argument.
And, you know, so there's things that can make that more trustworthy so more money feels comfortable coming in too.
Yeah.
So
Andrew, and maybe even Adam, do you think if a company ever wanted to do domain title insurance, if they charge 3%, so say you insured
too high
$10 million worth of domains and you charge $300,000 to indemnify title at the purchase.
way too high. You'd have to be like, you know, you're talking 50 basis points max.
But couldn't you start at 3% for those people who absolutely needed it?
No.
I think that's more of a custody product.
I mean, Paige, you got to look at like, you know, $1 million property, a title insurance on $1 million property is no more than, you know, maybe $2,500, $3,000 for $1 million property.
Right, but say I was buying $1 million domain name and I wanted to insure that name, when I bought it, that I had title to that domain name. And it would cost me 30 grand on $1 million. I think a company would do it.
A corporation, Mike. A
Yeah, sure.
corporation that needs
Some
answer to a
might do it,
board.
but that's not a viable product. You can't. No, there's not going to be enough demand for that product.
But do you think the risk of insuring that, do you think out of $100 million or $10 million of domain names that you'd have to pay out, what percentage of domain names out there are unclear title?
That's why it's not a viable product, because they would have to have enough of a broad customer base and domain, portfolio to spread the risk around because the biggest risk is going to be fraud. Like the moment you can start for 3%, the moment you get a domainer, give them insurance at a retail valuation, he pays 3%, they're going to find a way for that domain to, catch an insurance claim.
Right, but you still underwrite. I mean, isn't insurance? You only collect money when you know you're not risking anything whatsoever. So.
Yeah, but I think
this all for me.
But if I paid you 1% on your deals, Drew, if I paid you a 1% referral fee and there was 3% to the client,
Yeah, I think there's going to be solutions, but it'll be different. It won't be insurance, I think.
Well, I guess it comes down to, is there a risk to be insured or not? Does that happen often or not? And if it happens and the results are very bad, then there's an insurance.
Well, it does happen. There's a lot of domain theft, and the results are very bad.
So does it happen often enough that a corporation who's got to kind of play it by the book would pay some amount of money premium to insure against it? I guess
it gets back to the property. It gets back to whether if someone found out that the domain they bought was stolen, is it in one of the jurisdictions where they have to give the domain back? You could never insure that. You know what I mean? Because you could never indemnify them for the value of whatever business they built on the name. But if you could just limit it to the price paid, you know what I mean, or something.
Yeah, that's what it has to be. It has to be transaction based. That's with a domain name, you need to be able to insure it at a value of money that changed hands.
And just to go over it for everyone else listening, it would be like the person who got the name stolen from them would get cash. They would never get their name back, but they would get the cash that it was sold for to them as their only, what's the word in legal stuff? Your settlement or your
damages.
Yeah, damages. That would be their damages that they would get if you were in a jurisdiction where it wasn't property, and so I don't know. I'm thinking people would pay 3%.
Usually, in a lot of jurisdictions, you have to prove that the person that got it had notice. There's a notion in law. I think it's called something like a holder in due course without notice. They pay proper fair market value, and that in a contest between the person that buys the stolen good versus the rightful owner, the second person can have a better claim if they didn't have some sort of notice, that they're buying the.
That is the case in California, but it's not the case everywhere.
It's not the case everywhere.
Bona fide purchaser.
Well, I think we're going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then in real estate, there's a notion of, there's some where it's like Paige was saying, you gotta trace the title back 100 years to know that land is actually free and clear of all claims. And then in other jurisdictions, the fact that the
you guys, I gotta go.
Is sufficient, it's like a registry argument. And so it's sort of, if it's properly registered at a registrar, that's,
I will say, if I was ever buying a big domain name from the original owner, it would be worth it as part of the sale to literally get in writing, that they had been the sole owner for this period of time. There was no other equity shares given out to anybody. There was no claim, and the less and then when you resold it, if you could present a pretty, I mean, you can't guarantee anything, but if you could present a real clear, documented chain, I think it would add to the value of a domain name, like maybe 25 or 33% or something, because you could give them something that they wouldn't get if it was just, here's my GoDaddy account, move it in there. Possession's 9/10 of the law. We'll see what happens.
That's a good point
So
too.
Paige, I'll throw a question out. If you're dealing with a broker, where does that liability lie? Is the broker in any way liable, or is it still buyer beware?
Brokers are only liable if they're in knowledge of anything that they were made aware of or found out themselves, and they need to disclose it if they know it. If they don't know anything, we're innocent parties, and then they're free and clear of that.
That makes sense.
But in the absence of a written agreement, I think people would go back and include the broker and include everybody. You know what I mean? If it went south. And
they try that all. They try that all the time, but if the broker's free and clear of that knowledge, and they can show that, hey, I was never aware, and no one told me any of that stuff, and nor did I know. They're clear. They'll be brought into it for their testimony, but they'll walk off free.
I think they'll end up having have E&O insurance and have to pay.
No, I mean, I've been through it enough, so I've seen it happen, and it's easy to drag you through the fire as far as trying to extract information from you. But you and your brokerage, as long as you're free and clear of it, you're fine. Usually it's the seller that doesn't disclose to the buyer is the problem.
Sado avoids it by simply saying, we're not a part of the transaction. We're facilitating a transaction between two parties.
Yeah, that's an escrow, basically. You're not an agent or a broker to that extent.
But a broker, when it comes to these things, a broker is not, they're not licensed or anything when it comes to domain names. I mean, you have to be licensed to sell stocks. You have to be licensed to sell real estate, loans. But domain names, I mean, I don't think anyone needs to be licensed. Escrow, like escrow.com, I'm sure is licensed with California, a few other states that they probably deal with. And, but not brokers. I mean, you really have to trust a broker of these things.
Well, here, I just thought of something. I wonder if on my hand reg domain names, not that I would ever hand registration domain names because they would be terrible, but I actually do. It's almost like because they went through the deletion cycle, I couldn't do it for expired names because that process is still kind of unclear. But on a deleted name, I could make it a certified domain name. And you know how Donuts is doing with their new TLDs where they're calling it, they have a little blue sticker by it that says like true name or something like that. And I think that attribute does add something to it. And so, if I was doing hand reg names, at least if they got cleansed through a drop, then I could certify, my ownership from the time I bought it. And the drop would be a wipe the slate clean, right? A true drop would wipe the slate clean from anything that happened in the past. And
but doesn't that open you up to some things like, let's say McDonald's dropped McDonald's in the hypothetical, right? And their trademark's still in effect. The lawyers will eat you alive with that kind of argument.
But that's trademark and that's use, but that's not.
Yeah, if you held on to McDonald's.com, I don't see it. A small company, maybe, but no company of any value.
I don't think a company could get back $100 million domain name if they let it drop. If you satisfied the three components of the UDRP.
Lawsuits, Paige, lawsuits. Remember, I got sued. I mean UDRP, and then what happens? I won, but the guy said he was going to take me to court. Lawsuits are, and actually, I'll take it a step further. Read the Bridal Reese UDRP back in 2001, and even the judge who wrote it, or the arbitrator who wrote it, retired New York Supreme Court judge or something, he said this is something that really, in essence, needs to go to court. It's not even for there.
Right, and in court, you would, I mean, so say it's stocks.com, and the
That's
owner of
That's
stocks.com.
different. That's different. But if you got McDonald's.
Well, I didn't bring up
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Kevin brought up
Oh, I'm
McDonald's.
sorry.
I was just talking about regular domain names, and there's no doubt buying McDonald's.com would carry with it a risk. You know what I mean?
But stocks.com, yeah, you'd probably win. I mean, that's been proven by there was a .net name. That guy spent a couple of $100,000 defending it, won, and I think it was some sort of a label company that went after him.
I'm gonna start selling my hand regis as certified domain names.
And professionally registered.
What's that?
Professionally registered as well.
You're going to get a certificate. You're going to get a certificate of existence and title.
No, but
for an extra,
professionally registered
5%.
as well.
I will state that this domain name exists, and
It's
this
organic.
domain. Yeah.
My wife showed me a package and it said real ingredients.
As opposed to
Really?
what?
But it would give the buyer some comfort as opposed to a name I bought as a resale or a name I bought through an expired domain name auction, that I could say with certainty, I am the only owner of this domain name since its most recent registration, and I am passing on to you everything, all right title and interest this domain name without, I think that would be an attribute of the domain name.
But I think most people wouldn't care, to be honest with you. Of course, yeah, they would probably care on a big, but most companies, they'll just put their lawyers through it and make all the disclosures. They sign contracts and things like that. So they already do that. But the average Joe Schmo, I mean, they're just going to buy it through Dan, or they're going to buy it if it's, 20,000, 10,000, whatever it may be.
All right, guys. I got a couple more auctions, and I want to get the costume thing going. So I will hold on. Where I had something ready right here. Share screen. Do one couple auctions right now. Here we go. Ryan, you there?
Yeah, don't mind me. I was just looking at your Epic account. You had some great domains.
Who, me? Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Has your domain name account been hacked and you've lost your domain name? Maybe someone's filed a trademark that matches your domain name and then filed a frivolous UDRP complaint. You have been domain hijacked. What you need is a domain legalservice.com to stop domain name hijackers. DomainLegalService.com is for auction. Created November 15, 2009. Expires November 15, 2021. Available as a push only to your Epic account with a $20 reserve. There is only one, DomainLegalService.com, and you can own it. Let the bidding begin.
Well done.
Very nice. Very nice.
Nice.
That was cool.
That was, I'm not then
Really
going forward. I'll accept video things going forward for everything. But that was awesome. Yeah, it was the first one I got.
That was very cool.
But what a segue from what we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
So the auction's starting now. So it's domain legal service, and the reserve, let me write it down, is $20. So is that right? Yeah, $20. Yeah. So let the bidding begin. $20. That's a pretty good domain, actually. Vito, $20. Already there.
There we go.
Next bid will be 22. DomainLegalService.com. We got a $25 bid. So now we're going $5 increments starting at $25. It's $30 next. We got a 30, Vito. Next bid, 35. 35 from Dom. For 40. Whoa, 42 and then 50.
Wow.
50 from the rocker.
Will the owner of this domain certify that it's been in their possession since registration?
For the past 100 years.
I will certify it's in my possession now.
Okay, there we go.
If you need a certification, talk to Paige Howe. He will provide you one for $50.
When we did Joe Domains in the mall, in the Grossmont Center in San Diego, when we sold people domains, we did have a scroll There was a certificate of your domain name ownership that you would get with your domain. Because
Nice.
otherwise, you'd just be doing it online and saying, "Here's your login and password." So they'd actually have a scroll that would have a little rolled up and a little tie on it, and that would be the.
You had a brick and mortar domain store?
It was a kiosk back in 2001 in the Grossman Center in San Diego, outdoor mall.
How did it do? Did it do good? Did you get a lot of names sold?
We were doing really good, and then it rained for 9 days in San Diego, and we were in an outdoor mall. But we had 6 laptops, 3 on each side, and then we had a chalkboard with our premium names.
Oh.
Names that we had caught recently or something like that. And, I've always felt like I could do it again and it would be groundbreaking, you know what I mean? But it was, that was the genesis of Joe Domains.
Is that something you get walk by impulse buys?
Yeah, it was Christmas time.
Oh.
Why get your dad a $50 jacket, buy him a $50 domain name?
Jacket.com.
There you go.
And you had your whole portfolio or most of your portfolio listed and scrolling?
Yeah, but we were also selling just hand reg, but that was back when there was a little margin there. You could sell them for $24.99 and make a little money. And then I don't know if you know this, but sometimes companies will have a low end product to get you in the door, and then they'll upsell you a little bit. So.
All right, so get back on the domain auction right now is legal domain service. Sorry, domainlegalservice.com, and the current bid is 75. So next bid would be $80. Domainlegalservice.com. So it's $75, looking for 80. We're gonna say it's going once. DLS, yeah. At 75, looking for 80, it's going twice. And at 75, looking for 80, it is now sold. All right, good job, guys. So who is Frenchie? Yeah, those of you putting bids, maybe just put your real name in brackets when you're bidding. So
Certified bidder.
yeah. All right, so next up we have Sven. Are you there? Sven was there 2 seconds ago.
Yes, hello.
All right, Sven's there, so we're gonna do his next. And let me share the screen. Hold on 1 second.
Great.
Here we go. So his domain is treats.cc, and it's actually expiring only in 2023. So it's renewed already for several years. It's at Dynadot with a $66 reserve. And go for it, Sven.
Yes, so Treats is registered in 93 extensions, and Treats.io or CO are listed for $4,000. And I'm also the candy man, so you can see I have this self-made costume with some treats. And I think it's a great Halloween theme. You say trick or treat. And I have the treats for you guys, and it's usable all year round, not just for Halloween. So happy bidding.
All right, so treats.cc, $66 reserve. Your opening bid is $66. Who's getting treats this weekend? I still see them in all the stores. I mean, people aren't going out for trick-or-treating. At least we get to keep all the candy afterwards.
So I'm adding these treats as well. I'm going to ship you some candies.
Nice.
Free bonus.
Yeah, I stocked up on a lot of chocolate lately.
Have you had any inquiries on that name in the past?
It's actually a pretty new domain, so it's hand-racked. But like I said, it's a Dyna.push. It's 3 more years. So it's expiring October 2023. So .cc is managed by VeriSign, similar as .com. Renewals are similar, about $8 to $10. Privacy is allowed. So it's really one of the leading CCTLDs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, one word, treats.cc. Yeah. Everybody's looking for treats.
course, if it's not certified, it could be a trick. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just do
I
it.
will say I have sold .cc names for 4 figures.
Wow.
Nice.
So where's Mr. CC Josh then? See over here.
Walked up at the perfect time. .cc stands for the Cocos Keeling Islands. They've had been in operation since October 12th of 1997. I've seen millions of registrations in the zone. It's quite popular throughout Asia, as there's an interesting phenomenon in the symmetry of the extension, and duplicate names is actually pretty impressive. But it also got .cc got a big boost in right around 2000. It was a big promotion with an actor named Andy Lau, who is, for, I guess, for the North American hemisphere is the equivalent of maybe Harrison Ford, and in Germany maybe David Hasselhoff. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But no, it's actually got parody because there's an actor, but also very, very popular musician. So it's kind of got that. Anyway, so .cc still carries a lot of attraction throughout the world as a popular leading extension. And so it's, great to find something you can find single word keywords in. I guess treats could apply to anything too. I mean, it's candy and whatnot, but any kind of reward system. You could attach it to some sort of like a credit card loyalty program, or
Very good point.
Maybe some kind of kids learning at a community center. You name it.
Wasn't .cc the first big alternative TLD?
We tried to. I'd have to tip the hat though to Tonga with .to. They were probably about 5 months before us, and then we launched .cc generically back in '97.
Hey, Jonathan, did you guys do the radio stuff in LA?
Yeah, all the spot stuff with like the Rick Keys show. That was us. Well, that was through a partner. Actually, it was through a guy by the name of David Sams, and he's really now he does a lot of.
He's a fascinating guy. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. But also very, very connected. He's the guy who launched Oprah Winfrey's career and helped to create the popular syndication with Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy that survives to this day. He recently syndicated a show called Roller Games that, given all the sports slowdown with the pandemic, you had an opportunity to see roller derby, co-ed roller derby with alligators. And it's based in the 80s, and it's got taller hair than most towers. Sponsored by LA Gear. It just is a real, for those of you who were around in the 80s, real good reminiscence. Anyway, back to treats. Treats.cc. Great name, Sven.
Actually, to get it going, I think I'm going to slash the reserve in half. So we're going to be at $33, which is basically just the rec fee for 3 years.
Oh, boom. Thomas, 33. So next bid would be 38.
I will tell you those can get traffic, because I think my most trafficked name of all my, including .coms, is movies.cc, because there's somebody that has some movies website that has a .cc in it, and people type in movies.cc, and so that has tens of thousands of visitors a year now.
Wow.
That's a big number.
A great name.
And so there's nothing, it's for sale. It's just a landing page or whatever. I don't even remember right now, but yeah.
What's that for sale for?
Everything's for sale for a price. Well, I don't know. I had to have to look.
Cool.
So current bid is 33. Next bid would be 38. For treats.
What are the renewals on CCs?
I think they're pretty standard, like $10 something.
Do they do the premium renewals on that?
They don't.
No,
right
it's
now.
$8 to $10. There are new premium domains in that TLD.
$8, $9.
So there's no premiums, and they're about $10.
Yeah, under 10, I think it is.
All right, I'm gonna go 40. I'm gonna also talk it up a little bit. I like it. I'm not a CC guy, but
the price has been slashed. right? The price has been slashed.
Very good. Gotcha. We have a huge trade show that comes to Chicago every year. I was just reading up on it yesterday because it actually is moved. We're going back a phase today. It actually is moving to Indianapolis, but every year we have a show called Sweets and Snacks. All it is gummy bears and chips and jerky and stuff like that. 20,000 people from, 100 different countries. It's a huge show. There's a lot of money in these little $2 and $3 bags of stuff. So it's a really good name. I like it.
Yeah, nice. So current bid is sorry, current bid is $40 from Vito. So next bid will be 45 for treats.cc. And it's got 3 years of renewals on it. It expires only in 2023, late 2023. So it's
Nice.
extra value there.
What's the increment? $5?
Yeah, $5. So next bid will be 45.
That's $30 right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a treat.
So essentially it's 45, but it's
Very
really
good.
like just $15 for treats.com because you got it for 3 years.
You can't diabetes on the price.
Wow.
Nice.
All right, so at $40, we're gonna say it's going once. $40, going twice. $40.
Ooh,
Oh,
we got 45.
Oh, Thomas.
I waited till count 2 for the effect.
Right,
It's like reaching into the jar twice for Halloween candy.
Oh yeah, eh? For more treats. More treats. All right. So we have 45 right now. Next bid would be 50. Looking for 50 for treats.cc. So 45 looking for 50. We're going once. We're going twice. And we got 2 at 50. Ryan, you're first on my list. So
Nice.
yeah, Ryan, Rob. So next bid would be 55.
Rob, you coming up?
So current bid 50. It's Ryan's bid. So Rob, if you want to bid, it's 55. Anybody else want to bid? It's 55. So 50, looking for 55, going once. We're at 50, looking for 55, going twice.
Did
I got
anybody look?
55 on it.
Did anybody say the number of extensions that it was registered in?
I think 93. Yeah.
Current bid is 55. Yeah, guys, when you want to say stuff, try to say it before I do the going once, going twice, gone. But there's a bid. Go ahead, say it now. So how many?
55, Mike Dudley.
Yeah, we have a $55 bet. Next bid would be 60. Deborah, how many are there?
I thought somebody just said 92, so I didn't look it up.
92, but I got one more hand registered, so it's 93 now.
All right.
Ben, you hand read that?
Sweets.horse just went down.
Cat.cc just sold for $1,100 according to name bio this month.
What's that, Cat?
Chat. C-H-A-T.
Oh, that's a good deal. All right, so we have 55. Anybody want to say anything before I start it? All right, 55.
Hold on to my other CCs.
55, looking for 60, going once.
Candy.com went for $3 million.
Good call. 55, looking for 60, going twice. We got
60.
You
got 60. Come on.
All right, we got 60, looking for 65. We're gonna move this thing along now, guys. So looking for 65. Current bid is
65.
Who's that?
Mike Dudley.
Dudley, okay, type in the chat. Type in the chat.
I don't know how to do it.
Dang, boy.
Thomas, do it. Thomas got 65.
$20 premium for verbal bids.
Guys, if you want verbal bids, I'm not going to forbid them, but say the name so I know who it is, and I'll type it in. But if somebody else types in before I do, the other person gets the bid. All right, so because it's what.
No, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll just go up from there. Then that's fine.
No.
I don't want to take that.
All right, so we got $75. That settles everything. So we're at 75, looking for 80. Try to put what you want in the chat. So 75. 80.
Austria.cc sold for 5,000 at Sato.
Can't eat Austria.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tickets.cc.
You can.
Tickets.
Go ahead, Deb. Sorry.
Tickets.cc sold for 5,000.
This is why you bring your reserve down, because it gets people into it.
Yeah, because we're already above the first reserve.
Action,
looking for 85.
We're at 80. We're looking for 85.
So 85, looking for 90.
Oh man, there goes again.
85, looking for 90.
I will sell you.
123.cc for 5,000.
Yeah, there are 5-digit sales that I am aware of, but can't talk about.
In .cc? Wow.
Yes.
All right.
There have been 6 as well.
Wow.
Hong Kong.cc sold for 14,800 at
which one?
Guta.
What domain?
Hong Kong.cc.
Yeah, I think .cc is a popular extension in China too. After .cn, I think it's number 2.
And DNA.cc sold for 15,500. 2017 at Namejet.
Wow, Ezekiel said there's a TV.cc is 37,000. Wow.
Ooh.
All right, so we have $85 looking for 90, and we got 90 before I can even say anything else. So
well, Ezekiel just bid $2,017. Having a heart attack.
I'm out then.
Here's 90. We're looking for 95, guys. So Kermit 90 for treats.cc, looking for 95. We're gonna say it's going one. That's 95. We got a 95 bid. Ryan.
Dang.
100. So starting 100, the increments go to $10. So we're looking for 110 for treats.cc. 110. We got it.
That's yours.
Wow.
Yeah, you said that last time, I remember, and it wasn't quite. All right.
So, I'll be honest with you. What's also attractive is the fact that it's 3 years, so you got some time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, just the red fees alone, it's what, $30 or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Plus, you don't have to think about whether to renew it.
All right. So we got 110, looking for 120. If they going once, unless the person typing is typing in a bid.
I'm out this time for real. What's that?
Have
somebody needs a Tums.
Okay, hold on. So 110 going once, looking for 120. 110 going twice, looking for 120.
Hey Slash, you need to play something when he wins.
110, it is sold.
I feel like we need like a.
Yeah, good job. So it was 16.
Thank you, everybody.
Good job, guys. All right, so those of you who have costumes, get them ready. I'm gonna do one more auction, and then we're gonna do costume stuff.
Hey, how did you change my name?
Ezekiel, you there? That was probably Jotham. Ezekiel,
Jonathan, man, you are all powerful.
Yeah.
It's Halloween magic.
He really wanted to point out that you're a senior, trying to make fun of your age and all.
Hey, man, I will never forget the first time through Taco Bell. I order in the window, and I get up to the front, and she goes, oh, it's not $11.81, it's $10.55 with your senior discount. So that was that was an eye opener.
But you took it. But you took it, didn't you?
Darn right.
No, I put senior. I put the special N so that you wouldn't be old. You would be senior page because you had on
it's
the
not
hat.
the same thing.
Nope.
No.
It's Tilda.
Once again, I wouldn't even know how to do that.
in your page. All right, so
Jonathan does Technical Tuesdays.
Oh, technical. Yeah.
All right,
I misheard that.
Yeah. Next up, here we go. It's a video. Here we go.
Here we go.
GhostlyHalloween.com.